Title: Cinematic Lighting for Fine Art Portraits. Module: Advanced Studio Lighting Control. Cinematic lighting is a style of illumination inspired by film and storytelling. It focuses not only on how a subject looks, but on how the entire frame feels emotionally and narratively. In fine art portrait and figure photography, cinematic lighting transforms a simple image into a scene with mood, tension, and atmosphere. Unlike traditional studio lighting that often aims for clarity and balance, cinematic lighting embraces imperfection, asymmetry, and emotional direction. It is less about technical perfection and more about storytelling through light. One of the key characteristics of cinematic lighting is directional emphasis. Light is rarely placed evenly across the subject. Instead, it is used to guide the viewer's attention towards specific parts of the frame while allowing other areas to fall into shadow. This creates a sense of depth and visual hierarchy. Cinematic lighting often relies on contrast. Strong differences between light and dark areas help create drama and focus. However, contrast is not used randomly. It is carefully shaped to support emotional tone. High contrast may suggest tension, mystery, or intensity, while softer cinematic lighting may suggest memory, nostalgia, or introspection. Another important feature is motivated lighting. In cinematic photography, light often appears to come from a believable source within the scene, such as a window, streetlight, lamp, or distant glow. Even in a studio environment, photographers simulate these natural sources to make the image feel more realistic and immersive. Color also plays a central role in cinematic lighting. Rather than using neutral tones alone, cinematic images often include controlled color palettes. Warm tones may represent emotional intimacy or human presence, while cool tones may represent isolation, distance, or emotional silence. The combination of warm and cool tones within a single frame can create emotional contrast and depth. Shadow design is equally important. In cinematic lighting, shadows are not eliminated. They are shaped to create mystery and narrative tension. Large areas of darkness can suggest the unknown, while partially lit subjects can create psychological complexity. The viewer is encouraged to imagine what lies beyond what is visible. In fine art figure photography, cinematic lighting allows the human form to become part of a larger visual story. The body is not just illuminated, it is placed within an emotional environment. Light may suggest time of day, emotional state, or internal conflict. One common cinematic technique is edge lighting, where light is placed behind or to the side of the subject to create a glowing outline. This helps separate the figure from the background and adds depth. Another technique is motivated window light, where a soft directional beam simulates natural daylight entering a space. Cinematic lighting also benefits from controlled imperfection. Slight unevenness in exposure, asymmetry in lighting placement, or partial shadowing of the subject can make the image feel more human and less staged. These subtle irregularities often increase emotional realism. The background becomes part of the story in cinematic photography. Instead of being neutral, it often contains texture, gradient, or partial darkness that suggests environment without overwhelming the subject. Even in a studio, careful lighting can create the illusion of space and context. Ultimately, cinematic lighting is about emotional storytelling through light. It combines technical control with artistic intention, allowing photographers to move beyond traditional portraiture into visual narrative. The goal is not only to show the subject clearly, but to make the viewer feel something about the subject. When light becomes narrative, photography becomes cinematic. And when photography becomes cinematic, every frame begins to feel like a moment from a larger story still unfolding.